Hey y'all, and welcome back to episode 3 of the Let's Play. You might have already noticed that I no longer sound like I'm underwater, and that is because I finally invested in a big kid mic, and I'm very excited about it. I started off week 3 of spring by checking the mail, and we have a letter from Evelyn letting us know that our spring crops will die if we don't plan for the end of the month. Then I decided I wanted to do a little community center run to free up some chest space and pocket space, and just because I get excited when I finally have something to donate. And all we're missing for the spring crops bundle now are the green beans, but at least we're very close. Afterwards, I headed over to Pierre's to pick up whatever parsnip seeds I could afford, and said hello to Pierre and Gus while there. As you can see, I'm running very low on funds, so I was only able to get 4 parsnips, which is pretty measly. Then I went up to Robin's to complete a quest I accepted earlier that morning to cut down 20 pieces of wood for Robin. Thankfully, this gave me a little bit more gold to go promptly spend on more parsnip seeds. I did think about potentially getting some fertilizer for the quality crops bundle, but I just really don't have enough money to be prioritizing that right now. So we'll leave the fertilizer for a different day. I then headed back to the farm and got the new seeds planted and watered. I ended up being able to buy 11 in total, which is a slightly more respectable number. Then I headed into town and gave Olivia a topaz for her birthday. Before going to Cindersap Forest to do some salmonberry foraging and whatever else I could find for the rest of the afternoon. I really want to prioritize getting as many salmonberries as possible since that'll be funding my mines trips and all of the energy I might need for basically the rest of spring. So I'm sorry if this gets a little repetitive over the next few days, but hopefully by the end of salmonberry season, we'll end up with quite a few. And I ended the day leveling up in foraging, which will get us an extra wildberry harvesting, which is great for salmonberry season. And I love the retexture for the tappers. The next day, I had a letter from Dad with money, which was very kind of him. I will take money anytime. And then Pierre was advertising the fertilizer that I still can't afford, which rude of him. Afterwards, I had planned on going to the beach and buying the fiberglass rod, which is why I brought bait. But then I ended up realizing very quickly I have nowhere near enough money for that. Yeah, 1800, whereas I'm sitting about 500. So basically I can afford a training rod, and that's the extent here. And selling that clam didn't do too much of a help either. So instead, I decided to fish and see if I could sell some directly to Willie, or get some that I need for the ocean fish bundle. I didn't really think through this fishing trip though, as I have basically next to no backpack space. So what would end up happening for most of the afternoon is I would catch 1 or 2 fish and then have to go inside to Willie's to sell. In retrospect, I really should have crafted a chest to set up here, or just planned this out a little better in general, but that would have made way too much sense. And I tend to be a bit of an unorganized Stardew player, so at least this is true to how I normally function. After a while, I got tired of constantly having to throw something away and called it quits on our fishing day, and instead went to the museum to donate the artifact I found in a treasure chest. Before heading back home though, I ventured into Cindersap's forest and I guess you can guess, but went salmonberry foraging. Still with my completely full backpack. Again, a less than stellar idea of mine, but I sort of made it work. And no level ups tonight, but did manage to get a little bit of gold. On day 17, finally the remaining green beans that I needed for the spring crops bundle were ready to be harvested. So after doing farm chores, I promptly headed off to the community center to complete that bundle. This gave us a reward of speed grow, which not super helpful right now, but will definitely be a game changer in future seasons. Also unlocked the boiler room. So I immediately headed over to see which bundles were affected by the expanded bundles in this room. And in here, I have the Blacksmith's bundle with 5 of each bar, which shouldn't be bad, the Adventurer's bundle, which I feel like I'll just pick the 2 easiest of the 4 options for this, so not really concerned about that either, and the Geologist bundle. The only one that I feel like might be a little difficult here is the Fire Crystal, but overall, not a bad room at all. The Boiler Room tends to be one of the first that I complete, and I think it'll be the same case in this playthrough. And finally, with a more organized backpack, I went back to fishing in town to get to see if I could get some river fish checked off of the list. Also, because at this point, I'm waiting for Pierre to finally emerge from his store since it's Wednesday and he's closed, so that I can complete a request he made for a sardine. But in the meantime, while fishing, I'm specifically looking for sunfish, minnows, and goldfish, with 2 of those being new expanded fish. And I need 3 of each for the bundles. I do manage to get a couple of each, but for the most part, I basically just caught smallmouth bass. I wasn't sure what time Pierre would be emerging from his store, so a little bit later in the afternoon, I decided to head over there and basically just sat in front of his front door waiting. Finally, at 5 p.m., he decided to leave, and I completed his request, getting my first prize ticket and some gold. I then headed over to Lewis's to cash in my prize ticket, and was met with a cutscene. Ah, hello there, Ainsley. I was just loading some more prizes into this machine here. It's a new program I've come up with to help promote a spirit of goodwill among the townsfolk, you included. It's pretty simple. Sometimes, when you help out others in town, you'll receive a prize ticket. You can turn them in for rewards. There's some special stuff in here. My only worry is that people will just go after the tickets, rather than cultivating a true compassion for their fellow man. And I decided to go with, I just want to help. I do want the prizes, but also I guess I'll be a good neighbor. At any rate, keep checking the Help Wanted board in town. That's a good way to get your hands on more tickets. Good luck out there. And our first prize ticket got 12 carrot seeds, which, not necessarily a terrible prize, but also isn't very exciting. But that's okay, have to start somewhere. I then headed back to the farm and got those seeds planted and watered, before heading back down to Cindersap to do some more salmonberry foraging. After making the rounds in the forest, I headed back up to the farm and went to bed. Day 18 is Pam's birthday, so after some farm chores, I headed over to her place to give her a birthday present. She seemed to be a little hungover though, so I left her to some peace and quiet quickly after giving her a parsnip. That's when I noticed that the little fishing bubbles were in the river close to her house, so I sat there and fished my little heart away. Today's fishing expedition was a little more successful than yesterday's as well. I definitely still got quite a few smallmouth bass, but picked up several more sunfish and goldfish too. Then, after running out of energy, and once again with completely full pockets like some kind of moron, I'm sure you can guess where I'm headed. And yep, back to Cindersap Forest for more salmonberry foraging. And overnight, I leveled up in fishing, learning the recycling machine, worm bin, and deluxe bait recipes. On day 19, Pam gave us the cheese cauliflower recipe, and Jody requested a cauliflower. After the morning farm chores, I headed to Pierre's and walked into a cutscene. Welcome to Pierre's. How can I help you? Come and get it, folks. Coupons for 50% off your purchase at JojaMart. Oh, poor Pierre. He's panicked. Well, any takers? Looks like a lot of takers. Oh, the sound of the door just closing over and over is so sad. But I can't match those prices. I'd be selling at a loss. It must be so difficult for you till you lose your loyal customers like that. But can you blame them? Joja Corporation is clearly the superior choice. Soon the whole town will realize that. See, he doesn't have to be that mean about it. Poor Pierre. I think this is an instance where I actually do feel bad for him, even though he's not my favorite person in town. So I gave him some business by buying some parsnip seeds. And hopefully that'll raise his spirit just a little bit. Then headed back to the farm to plant those and get them watered. Before taking a trip into the mines. And today my goal is to get through floor 40 because I really hate these dark floors. I think they're my least favorite part of the entire mines, all three of them. And typically my technique on these floors is to find a torch and carry it around like it's my little beacon of light, which sometimes works. And I feel like normally I typically already have the glowstone ring, and that really helps on these floors, but I haven't been as lucky on this playthrough to find one in the mine barrels. So my torch worked for now. And for a bad luck day, I did manage to get pretty lucky on a couple of the floors by finding some early staircases, which also definitely helped. After finally getting to floor 40, I moved on to my next priority of the Mines Day, which was killing the 8 slimes that Lewis had put out a request for. And I got super lucky by finding an infested floor pretty quickly. After killing those slimes, I headed back to the farm and went to bed. That night, leveled up in farming, as well as mining. And this got us the new craftable recipe for a butter churn, which I am very excited about. I always thought that butter should have been in the vanilla game since we can already make cheese, so this is a fun addition. Day 20 was a no-mail day, so I did the farm chores and then headed into town to buy more parsnip seeds from Pierre. I'm really trying to get some Gold Star parsnips for the Quality Crops bundle, but haven't been having much luck with it, unfortunately. I just don't think my farming level is high enough yet to get the Gold Star, but keep trying anyway. I then headed back to the farm to get those new seeds planted and watered. While on the farm, I also picked up a copper bar that Sebastian had requested, and then headed up to Robin's to give him that, while catching him outside of his room for once, since I don't think I'm high enough friendship with him yet to even get into his room. Getting us a little bit more gold, which will be very helpful. I noticed that today is also the final day to talk to Lewis from the slime request that we had done yesterday. So I talked to everybody else in the rest of the household before heading out to go find Lewis. Lewis was making the rounds, so after searching for him for a little bit, I finally caught him at Clint's and talked to him, completing that request and getting a bit more money. After all that running around, I headed down to the beach to do a bit more ocean fishing. I'm really trying to level up my fishing skill, hoping that it'll be a little bit higher for the next rainy day and increase my catfish chances, since I tend to struggle with those. I've been super unlucky though with rainy days this spring, so we'll see when our next one is. I tried to sell some fish and free up pocket space at Willie's, but forgot that he isn't there on Saturdays. So I went back to fishing and just continued to throw out whatever was the least valuable thing I was holding on to. I wish I could say I learned from our last fishing day by bringing a chest with me, but I definitely haven't. After fishing for a couple hours, I headed back to the farm to free up some pocket space before heading back into town. I decided to take some of the community center fish while going into town and do a quick little drop off as well. I stopped by the saloon first though, buying a beer for Shane's birthday. In retrospect, I definitely had other items that I could have given him as a liked gift, seeing as how I still don't have much money, but I think I was just running on autopilot here and I'm so used to just giving him a beer for his birthday. I also didn't notice this until I was editing, but Alex and Haley are in here too playing games, which is fun since I don't think they're ever in the saloon in the vanilla game, unless this is just a 6.1 edition and I've completely missed it. Then I went up to the community center and donated the sunfish and goldfish to the riverfish bundle and the carp and bullhead to the lakefish bundle. I'm starting to slightly make a dent in the fishing bundles, but also feel super far away still. On my way back home, I ran into Linus outside of George and Evelyn's house. Sounds like those raccoons are back again. Filthy varmin. Ah, you turned up at the right moment, miss. Could you do an old man a favor? Could you go around the corner and scare off those raccoons for me? They've been causing a real mess. Thanks. Make sure you give them a good scare so they never come back. Oh, poor Linus. It was me. I'm sorry. I find a lot of hot, fresh food in these cans, stuff that will go to waste if I don't take it. Do you think there's something wrong with what I'm doing? No, it's a shame for food to go to waste. Thanks, Ainsley. I knew you were an open-minded person. I feel good about what I'm doing. I'm not harming anyone. You can go on home. I promise I won't rummage in George's can anymore. You can tell him you scared off the raccoons for good. Linus is just so sweet. I do love how he immediately goes to Gus's trash can, though. Wait. I know what you were doing, Linus. If you need food, just ask. I don't want anyone in Pelican Town to go hungry. Here, I've got a basket of zucchini fritters for you. Just make sure you dip them in my spicy marinara. Go on, take it. I swear, Gus is like the nicest person in this entire game. After that cutscene with Linus, I headed back home to do a little bit of nighttime fishing before heading off to bed. Now's also probably a good time to bring up that I did install a new interface mod, which you can see in the top right hand corner, and I installed Daisy Nico's Earthy interface. I figured out that it was my previous interface mod that was causing some clipping issues, specifically with the shipping bin and the bus, so this finally resolved that issue, and thank you so much to Daisy Nico for helping me figure out that issue. On day 21, there was a new Queen of the Sauce recipe, so I learned radish salad. The bookseller is also here today. And Shane gave us the pepper poppers recipe. So after watering the crops, I decided to head into town. where I met Leah at the community garden. Ainsley, hello. It's a lovely day today. I dropped by to check on my green beans, and they're ready to harvest. Gus and Pierre were here a little while ago taking care of their crops, too. I wonder how the space is allocated. Like, does Leah just get the back wall, or how do they decide on that? Pelican Town's community garden is pretty nifty. It is a great idea. Yes, it's spectacular. I'm very thankful for this community garden. I don't have much property to grow my own food, but thanks to this little plot of land we all share, I can. Whew, that's all of them. Now I need to decide what to cook with these tonight. Here's a fresh green bean straight from the vine. Oh, I'm just gonna eat it. Okay. I mean, I could have kept it, or sold it, but sure, why not have a little snack? It looks like I do get to keep it. Okay, well that was nice of her. I'm gonna sell it then. And while at Pierre's, I'm here yet again to buy some more parsnip seeds. Still no gold star, which mildly annoying, but that's okay. I then headed over to Clint's to upgrade my axe. And even though I can't buy anything because I have basically no money right now, I headed up to the bookseller stand just to see what he had. Saddened and angered by how poor I am, I went up to the mines to attack enemies and collect copper ore for a request that Clint had made. After a couple of floors, I had all of the copper ore I needed and headed back to Clint's for the second time today, which is 2 times too many if you ask me, to complete that request, earning me a price ticket and some gold. I decided to open a geode while there, and then headed off to the museum to donate a couple of artifacts and minerals I had found. Afterwards, it was on to Lewis's to cash in the prize ticket. This time, I got an orange sapling, which would have been a lot more exciting probably if I didn't have the farm map that I do, but since I already have one of the orange saplings on my farm, not necessarily the best prize ever, but that's okay. I'll probably just keep it until I can plant it in the greenhouse once I've unlocked that. I then headed over to the trading cart today. and she had a red cabbage seed, which honestly stopped me in my tracks. I was so tempted by this, but I have next to no money, and I don't really know if I'm going to need it with the expanded bundles. Plus, I feel like if I do, given how the rest of the bundles have been shaking out, I'll need more than one. So I decided against getting it for now and just saving my money. I got the new parsnip seeds planted, fingers crossed there's actually at least one gold star out of this batch, and then headed back down to the forest to actually not harvest sandberries for once. Today, I decided to fish instead, which I did until I ran out of energy. For once, it also wasn't a pocket space issue. I then made my way back up to the farm, dropped all of the fish I had caught into a chest, and headed to bed for the night. And overnight, I unlocked mystery boxes, which will be very exciting to see what we can get out of those. I also leveled up in farming, got this super cute preserve char recipe texture. And that concludes week 3 of spring at Blackmoor Farm. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I'd really appreciate it if you'd give the video a like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed. And I'll see y'all in the next episode. Bye!